The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 2. Game previews, picks, Survivor. I'm the only person left in Survivor, so it's only my picks that you will hear. Geoff Fienberg is in the studio. Nice pick with New Orleans. Gone.
Yeah, I ate that. Gone. I didn't see that coming. I honestly didn't see it coming.
Obviously not, because you use them as your Survivor pick.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, another one with a bunch. I was more heavy on the Ravens, but for the purposes of our game, I did not heed the warning of Tim's free money claim.
Yes, this is true. I mean, that's always something that you need to be cognizant of when you're doing this. I do want to let everyone out there know that if you give the episode a like, go into the comment section and leave your Draftkings handle and tell me what team you think will score the most points in Week 2. You, friend, would be in a draw for 20 DK dollars. I'll announce that on Monday morning's live show, 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, recapping Week 1. Also, you can find myself and Garion and Tim Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern time on the Draftkings YouTube channel. All the latest breaking news on Sunday morning. You got nothing to do on Sunday morning? Come hang with us. You can find it up there. It'll be up on the pod feed around 11:15 a.m. as well, in case you missed it at 10 and still want to go back and watch it, or put it on your iPod and go walk around the home. Plus, for everything in this episode, so you want to see all the picks, you want to see the Survivor, and get everything in full, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme, where you can find my picks cheat sheet for the week. Facebook.com/thepme for the picks cheat sheet for the week. That, friends, is where you'll find information, all right? Now, let's get to the third member of the show. His name, he gives out free money, which always loses. It is Tim Andergust.
Tim Andergust.
That is not my name.
No, I heard it was. Will you go to facebook.com/thepme to find a picks cheat sheet?
I won't, because I know what my picks are and what your picks are, because I'm on the show. So no.
Okay, fair enough. So where do you guys want to start? Do you want to give a quick pick for the Thursday night game? Because we always go through it. And people can go game to game in the description to find this all. Here, I'll recap last week very quickly. The picks, I came in dead last. 5-10-1. Geoff was 7-8-1. Tim was 8-7-1. And the coin, the trusty coin, was the big winner of the week. The flip of the coin, 10-5-1. Obviously, both you, Geoff, and Tim are both eliminated from Survivor. And in terms of super locks, which you can find in the cheat sheet on the Facebook page, I'm 1-0. Both of you two, 0-1.
So you
Not
won the
correct.
games that mattered.
Oh, no, I'm sorry,
Not
that's true.
correct.
Tim and I are both 1-0. I forgot about that.
So you just won the important games.
I won the important game, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a good one. The rest of the games I didn't have a good feel for anyway. It was week 10. Week 2 might be a little bit better.
It makes, I don't know, week 1 is such a gong show. I'm not shocked to see the coin get off to a flying start.
So, Thursday night game, quick picks. We don't like to break it down too much because the show comes out on Thursday. Most people watch it after the fact. It's Baltimore at Cincinnati. Both teams 1-0. It's an interdivision game. Last week at Cincinnati in week 1, Baltimore shut out the Cincinnati Bengals. I always like to lean with the better defense when it comes to a Thursday night game. So we're now no longer just making picks. We'll make picks against picks with the projection, the total, or winning score for this, so you can know where we're going. I'm going to take Baltimore to win by 3 points, 17-14 on Thursday night. Geoff.
For me, with these Thursday games, it'll probably be a pattern. Honestly, the team that's more talented when push comes to shove, going against a team missing, outside of Geno Atkins, probably their best player on defense. I lean Baltimore. Also, Andy Dalton put the Bills into the playoffs with a last-second play against Baltimore last year. Not that they would need any incentive because it's a division game, but it's a division game with a big revenge element. Give me Baltimore. I think they'll win this thing 2014.
2014?
Yeah.
All right. The coin is taking Baltimore as well. Tim, who are you taking?
I'm taking the Bengals. I'll take the better team at home, 27-23. If Pittsburgh continues to look as shaky as they do, Cincinnati could just run away and hide with this type of division. I think Baltimore's a fraud. Last week doesn't really count for anything in my books. Bengals went in against Andrew Luck, who played actually pretty good, who looked just about himself. They got down. They came back. They took the game away. They closed the door at the end with a great defensive play. The Bengals were by far, in my opinion, what I saw from Cincinnati was more impressive.
You know when I say to, like, hurry up, we're not spending too much time on the Thursday night game? When did that occur to you that, like, let's go on for 20 fucking minutes?
Well, I was just going to say what I was going to say.
So you pick Cincinnati? That's your pick? Great. Let's move on.
I like their jerseys.
Great. You don't like the Titans jerseys?
Not as much. I like the all white. Let's move on.
Okay, we're going to move on to, Tim said last week doesn't really matter much. He just said that. So let's start with a game that's not first up. It's Miami at the Jets. The Jets are the home team in this. Projections have them winning this game by all accounts. So, Tim, if last week doesn't matter, please tell me all about last week and how that matters moving forward.
We are so good. And all of you people who didn't believe, who, stroked their chins and laughed at me when I said that Darnold could have a huge game. He had 119, I think, passer rating. Said that the Jets could rout Detroit.
You did say that he was going to throw for over 400 yards.
I didn't say that. I said
that is exactly what you said.
What I said was I'd like to see him have a performance the way Newton did when Newton had 400 yards.
You also bet someone 10-1 on our text thread that he wouldn't throw a pick in his first 10 passes.
Yeah, and he did. He threw an interception.
So you came out as a big loser in this game.
I won back many of those on other bets I had on the game. Listen. What worked out was that after a bad pass and a bad play call, Sam took control of the offense. He called it from the line like the general that I knew that he was. He was calm. He was smart. He was strong. Yeah, he's 21 years old. He looked like he was 32 years old at the line. Everything I believed, everything I dreamed came true. Of course, you sneeringly last week put out on Twitter that tweet about, when someone has realistic expectations for Monday night. And the Jets exceeded the expectations, which you so mockingly made fun of. It was the perfect setup. Sam had a little bit of adversity, like a boxer on the ropes, and he punched off of it. They destroyed the Lions. It was insulting that people thought they were going to lose that game by as much as some people thought. They're a really, really good football team. And if they play like they played in terms of the defensive stamina and strategy, and if Sam continues to develop a little bit, ain't no one stopping us. We can't be stopped. And every single Patriots fan in the world is chewing their fingernails down to their nubs if they are being because they know that the future is right around the corner and about to knock them out. I wish we were playing the Patriots this week. We could essentially put the AFC East to bed, but we aren't. Instead, we'll have to play another divisional team who I have respect for. The Dolphins, in a weird game, took care of business against Tennessee, but we're going to win this game comfortably. I think I have it 24-10. We're just in another league. We're a playoff caliber team, and the Dolphins aren't.
I would give my best performance of week 1 to the Jets. So Tim can smile from ear to ear. It's almost
Tim said that they're going to go 16-0.
No, it's not.
I have the text where you said it.
I'm not.
You said they're not going to lose a game this year.
We may not lose a game all year.
Yeah, I'm not buying into his insane hyperbole.
No, to quote an insane person from like 4 minutes ago, last week doesn't matter, Geoff. It only selectively matters to what Tim wants. Tim wants to believe some things that happen and other things that happen.
Also,
they don't matter. But according to Tim, in his crazy world, it's either an all-in or an all-out, Tim.
You're striking the context out of my statement.
No, you're crazy, and you said last week doesn't matter. You're like, oh my God, last week I came through my pants 8 times, and I had to go to a mall walk in shorts, and it was cold out.
And you have to accept the fact that we are a force to be reckoned. After laughing at me and mocking me, it's time for you to take a little bit of humble pie and say, you know what, I was wrong, and I'm waiting.
I picked the Jets over the number this year. I was with you that they'd be okay, but you need to fucking pump the brakes here, pal. The Patriots fans are chewing their nails. I want to play the Patriots. How does being on your high horse like this, and why could it just be good? You picked the Jets to win the division, which was just crazy to begin with. But why can't it be just good enough that Darnold looks pretty good, and maybe they can improve from here? Now they're going to win the division. They're going to win the Super Bowl. Fucking calm down.
I also think it needs to be brought up again this early in the season, as people might have missed some, draft season shows or season previews. Where did you have him ranked on your QB big board headed into April's draft?
I'm not here to talk about the past.
I think the
Five out of 5.
fifth
But that had to
quarterback.
do with the fact that he was from USC, and you know that was
Okay,
irrational.
fine. But that's just I wanted the people to be reminded. That being said,
I caught to it.
this was like, when a golfer starts bogey, then goes on to like win on a Sunday because he just steamrolls it elsewhere. I was so impressed after that start. Great boxing analogy by Tim. The defense carried the day in many ways, or Stafford really struggled. But such a great performance, even though the Lions seemed overwhelmed for some reason, and their head coach seemed overwhelmed. I'll take nothing away. That being said, this is a trick, Pat. This is a trick. This is everybody watched that.
I know.
Everybody watched that. Well, no one got to see any of the Dolphin game. I'm gonna take Dolphins here, Pat. 24-23 in a very weird football game.
24-23 is your prediction for Miami. I'm gonna pick Miami to win. 39-0, Miami. The coin also likes the Jets along with Tim, and the coin is the hottest player on the board. Tim, would you say the score? What was the score that you projected?
24-10.
Would you say that's the one you're most confident in this week?
There is no pick I am more confident in this week, and we play the Browns next week. Essentially, we have 2 buys in a row coming up before Jacksonville.
How did this work out last time for you? The last 2 times you projected a game as a bye week, what happened, Tim?
We got screwed by referees and crooked officials in Tampa. That's not going to happen this time. Knock out Miami, knock out the Browns, have 10 days off before we knock out the Jags. And at that point, people will, even the doubters will have to say, you know what, this Jets team is one of the very best in the AFC. And I will get all the credit because I was here first. I told you the train is leaving the station. Come on board now because we're about to hit full steam.
I don't know. I mean, the only people that I see talking about the Jets on Twitter are all the least likable people on Twitter. Like, all the people you're just like, who the fuck, this fucking guy. Like, wait, this guy's now... So if they go 4-0, let's say, right? And you'll want all the credit in the world. What happens if they go 4-12?
That will be very, very depressing. But it's not going to happen.
So why don't you just wait till the end of the season to have? See, this leads me to believe that you don't. This leads me to believe that you have no faith in this team whatsoever. Is that you want all the credit if they win 2 games to start the season, and that's it. You've declared the season a success. Although you're now predicting them to go 16-0, potentially go to the Super Bowl, definitely going to win the AFC East. Like, this just leads me to believe that you have no faith in this team.
When you're a Jets fan, you learn early on to revel and enjoy every moment as it comes because the other shoe could drop at any second. So, listen, this is the most important and most exciting game since we beat the Patriots in the playoffs.
That's so sad. Like,
you're right. That means I'm going to cherish this
So
moment.
this week 2 game against the Dolphins, who are not good. There's 2 teams that are, maybe the Jets are a little bit better. Maybe Miami was a little bit better. Maybe they're where we thought they were. Maybe they're just both not good. Maybe the Lions suck
Jumbo
too.
Jets.
I don't know. I like my prediction a bit more than Tim's prediction.
I'm very excited.
All right.
What could go wrong?
They seem like a very tough team on both sides of the ball, so we'll see.
Are we sure the Lions are good? I mean, you guys weren't certain before the season. I thought they were. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's a bad week 1 under a new coach.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of under
Are the
and
Saints also
overreactions.
terrible?
I don't think so.
Tim, are the Saints also terrible?
Their defense might be far more it might be far weaker than we thought it was. Maybe it's not a top 10 defense. Maybe last year was
Whoa. Are we going to put we into this, or worse than you thought they were going to be? Because I can remember a specific argument I made for New Orleans. Now it seems like I'm the only one who's reasonable about it.
I think all of us believe that they would at worst be like a middle of the pack defense.
You don't even hear us talk when we talk, do you? You just live in your own fucking dream world.
And if they if Tampa Bay and Ryan Fitzpatrick can carve them up, they may be in worse shape than many of us believe.
Here's the thing. In like so few weeks, what happened last Sunday will be so far gone. So
exactly.
you got to move on.
All right, next game. Carolina at Atlanta. We have, projections have Atlanta to win this game pretty comfortably, to tell you the truth. The way I see it is, do you think people will still be backing, do you think that Carolina will be a popular sleeper pick this week for an upset in the spot, Geoff?
I'm always surprised at how popular Atlanta is perceived to be. But they have a lot of sexy, good fantasy players, and they play in the Dome, and people expect
They don't have much of a defense anymore.
when peak Falcons are going that they can do a lot of things very well. I don't know. It seems like there's a perception out there that Atlanta won last week or something based on certain numbers. But I got to say Carolina could be sneaking in this one to keep it a close football game.
No Greg Olsen here. Obviously, Atlanta's lost some pieces on defense. We don't know about Devonta Freeman yet. He should play after the 10 days off and sustaining that injury on Thursday night. It seems like a rebound spot for Atlanta to me. Cam has really struggled against Atlanta, like the past 5 times out. So I'm really torn on it. Tim, do you think this ends up being like a field goal game?
No, I think Atlanta wins it pretty comfortably. I have them winning by 10 points. Luke Kuechly is dinged up. Maybe he'll be fine. Maybe he won't, but he's already dinged up. They had to clutch and grab to get past the Dallas Cowboys.
No. That is not true whatsoever. They did not have to clutch and grab to get by them. They should have won that game by
one score.
They should have won that game by 35 points.
Okay, but if my haunted wheel should be a bike.
Yeah, but you can't say that they had to grind out the game. They didn't. They were winning the game the entire way and should have absolutely blown them. Yeah, and how good was Dallas? Dallas had no chance of scoring basically the entire game.
Okay, but they had the ball with a chance to tie the game at the end. So
did they have a chance to tie it? Because they moved the ball once all game.
Carolina was not an impressive team on Sunday whatsoever.
Their defense was pretty impressive.
Sam got a chance to get himself on television, which shouldn't have surprised us, I suppose. But other than that, I was ice cold on the Panthers. I think now in a divisional game with the Falcons having more rest at home, and the Falcons are just a better team. That means the Falcons defense. The last time we saw the Eagles before last week, the Eagles were scoring up and down the field in the Super Bowl and against the Vikings. Atlanta for two times in a row have actually squeezed the Eagles and a pretty potent offense. So I'm actually rather impressed with Atlanta's defense.
Yeah, but their defense is now decimated.
I think it's going to be 34-24. I think it's a little bit of a shootout, but I think Atlanta's defense makes enough plays and Cam makes enough mistakes as he's wont to do for them to lose the game.
Yeah. I just think in the end, desperation to avoid 0-2 for Atlanta will prevail. 30-21.
30-21. I think it's a bit of a lower scoring game than that. I'll take I think the Falcons do end up winning this game. I'll take it 24-17 for Atlanta here. Just the Cam struggles against Atlanta. They're pretty pronounced. And losing Greg Olsen, we'll see how that changes their offense a little bit. Maybe it allows like DJ Moore to have a more expanded role in the offense. Maybe with the defense banged up for Atlanta. Here's the one thing that I worry about. That their defense is banged up. It's now significantly slower. They were bad against pass-catching running backs to begin with. And now they got to deal with McCaffrey. And that could be severely problematic for them. Like, it's just 2 big McCaffrey plays, and Carolina's going hog wild here.
Both teams have those linebacker issues with injuries, and we'll see. I don't expect either to play, though.
All right, next game. Cleveland at New Orleans. When we look at this one, projections have New Orleans to be to win this game by quite a bit here. I'm not really that concerned about New Orleans. They've started 0-2 every year since 2014.
Incredible.
I don't think their defense is half as bad as it looked. Now, I wasn't Tim who said that they're definitely going to the NFC Championship game or potentially the Super Bowl.
Jeff likes them more than I do.
Yeah, you had them going to the Super Bowl. You had them going to the.
But I don't need to change my pick.
But Tim had them going to the NFC. Tim had them going to the NFC title game because he said there's no way their defense is going to be worse than last year, and their offense is the best in the league.
As Coach Payton alluded to after the game, they found themselves in a game that the old Saints would play.
Yeah,
that's what Sean said, and he said those teams finished 8-8, so we can't play those types of games, and they know that. I think that they underestimated Fitzmagic, and they got caught, and they got punched in the mouth. There's a lot of exciting things with Cleveland, but I don't know. I expect New Orleans to bear down and not turn the ball over like the Steelers did. I think New Orleans has a lot of fun, again, at home. 35-24 for me.
35-24? Yeah. I think this could be a beatdown here. I like New Orleans. I think that their rushing attack or their defensive line is just going to get to the passer this time. Like, Tyrod can do as much as he wants to run around in circles and avoid so much, but, like, he's not immune to mistakes. He loves taking sacks, and if this gets... The one thing that Pittsburgh didn't do last week was pull away from Cleveland when they had the chance. They didn't step down on their throats, and I don't think that New Orleans is... The offense is going to continue to roll here. The only thing is, like, maybe Cleveland's defense is actually pretty good, but that could have been Ben on the road. Ben was potentially banged up. It was super windy. It was super rainy. None of that is happening this week. I just think the Saints roll here. I'll take like 35-10 for the Saints. Tim?
34-10 for the Saints.
All right.
If you're in a Survivor League, this is the time.
I don't think you should be dishing out any Survivor advice there, pal. You've been eliminated week 1 the last 2 years.
Yeah, but the year before that, I went 17-0.
And how much money did you win on that?
Whatever.
Can you please tell the people need, if you're going to give out the Survivor advice after being out, can you please tell people how much you profited from your 17-0 Survivor year?
I didn't win anything.
$0. So yeah, great
So it's just
fucking
him
advice.
writing it down on a piece of paper?
Yeah, he was picking it on the show, and then he refused to follow. He's dishing out his own advice on the show, and then not following his own advice. For reference, the coin likes Cleveland here. And I liked Tampa last week, because I knew they were supremely under-cursed. And they really were. And then Tim even tried to concede on Twitter on behalf of them. It was just like when you asked what Keegan Bradley's score was going to be for the weekend, and Tim picked withdraw, then he won.
That's the best.
See, he used up, and then he had that, oh yeah, Darnold's not going to throw a pick in the first 10 passes. He used up 3, so much under-curse, the Jets just benefited the rest of the way.
He picked Keegan and WD. 3 people won. I got to figure that out.
So does it worry you that the coin is picking Cleveland here?
The coin's pretty sharp. And there could be ways for maybe them to crack into this, making it closer late. But like you said, I think New Orleans is just desperate to get up off the mat, and they'll find a way to pull away.
Okay. Let's move to Houston at Tennessee. We're still not sure if Marcus Mariota is going to play or not. It looks more and more like he is going to play. At least he's practicing on Wednesday. That's always good news. He's dealing with his elbow problem. Both these teams 0-1. It is a divisional game. I like Houston to kind of bounce back here a little bit, especially with their pass rush. And it looks like both tackles from Tennessee aren't going to play. And that could be really, really bad. It's bad if Mariota plays. It's even worse if Blaine Gabbert plays. I don't know how, and you expect the offense to rebound a little bit here. I don't think that they rout them. But for me, when I look at this and how this game sets up, maybe Tennessee can overcome. They did just lose Delaney Walker. They got Jonnu Smith filling in. I'm not sure what their offense is going to really look like, whether it's a banged-up Mariota, or like I said, or if it's Gabbert. I trust more of the consistency on the Texans side of the ball. They lost another offensive lineman as well, which is bad news for a very porous unit to begin with. I like a Texans rebound here. I'll say 30-24 Houston.
I like the Texans. I like the Texans to win this game convincingly. I don't care who plays at quarterback, and certain opportunities might prefer me to want Mariota to play.
Yes.
I don't think he'd be healthy. I think it would impact certain things. And again, they struggled with this new offense a ton in the preseason. And then for him not to get a chance to play a full real pace game in week 1, I think is detrimental. I'm high on that Tennessee 53-man roster, but I picked against them last week. And just give it to me again. I don't care who plays. Houston will avoid going 0-2 here.
So you and I are on Houston. The coin likes Tennessee in this game. Tim, who do you like?
I like the Texans. Whether it's Mariota or it's I don't care.
Mariota!
I think that.
Do you think that if Mariota was making pizza, it would be better than that in Italy?
Well, I wouldn't be better than Sparrow, I'll tell you that.
But he's Mariota. He brings the Italian flavor.
I think the Texans knock him out. I think this Tennessee team was way overrated to begin with. I think they're talent poor. I think they're poorly. I don't believe in any former Patriots taking over teams and renovating them. Yet again, we are seeing another example of that. Like, there are no acorns that fall from that oak that turn into trees. It doesn't happen. So I'm just not interested in them.
Does Belichick watch them like?
I don't know. Tim once walked around calling the man genius is the better coach than Belichick. Direct quote from Tim. How'd that work out?
And Notre Dame got one of his coaches too. So this guy's experienced.
He was telling me how great they were too. How
Yeah,
they're so smart. And even when they were still coaching, until they got fired, Tim was all on board.
I think I'm not even going to address that. I think the Texans held their own against the Patriots. One or two weird things. I mean, if the Gronk call gets reviewed, that's probably incomplete. If they kicked that field goal in the fourth quarter when they should have, they would have had a chance to drive for the win. Like they and the Patriots there was very little between them. I think that was like a 55-45 style of game. It really could have gone either way, slightly more towards the Patriots. And that was in Foxborough on opening day. So now coming home against the Texans, who had to play for 9 hours or something, and their starting quarterback may not play. I don't know. I just don't think Tennessee is much of a prayer here.
It's in Tennessee, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's in Houston.
I thought it was in Tennessee.
Oh, I thought it was in Houston. I'm sorry.
Does that change your pick?
No. I still think Texans kill them. I don't really care.
Then now I have to go look this up. I was convinced that it was in Tennessee. It was at.
You could be right. I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah, you're fucking fake news, pal.
I'm looking up the schedule. This is riveting television.
Well, I want to get this right if we're going to talk about it.
You are right. The game's in Nashville.
I'm just waiting for Paul to bring it up, but he never brought it up.
Yeah, you're right. The game's in Nashville, but I don't care. I'm still taking the Texans.
It is their home opener, but again, I guess that's something to keep in mind when picking these week 2 games. Is half the league's got to play them, but again, I'm with the Texans.
I like Tennessee moving forward. I just worry that they're so banged up at this present moment. That worries me.
Did any team get it worse than them week 1? I mean, I know there's.
I guess
some
the Dolphins kind of did too, but like that's rough.
Who did the
Packers
Dolphins
may have
lose?
Oh, I thought you just meant like not only did they have the rough injury drought, they played in that stupid game.
Oh, I just mean like from an injury perspective. I know like there's some potential larger scares.
Atlanta, Green Bay.
Atlanta got it bad.
Atlanta's defense got really bad.
Yeah, bad. But Tennessee, if they don't have those hogs on the line, they're in a world of hurt. Long term.
24-13 Texans.
24-13 Texans. Like I said, the coin likes Tennessee. The rest of us like Houston. Indianapolis at Washington. Projections have Washington taking this game home. Projections are not always right, Geoff. When it comes down to this stuff, it's the 0-1 Colts at the 1-0 Redskins. It's a tough game for me. I thought Luck looked really good.
And that's why I'm willing to back Indianapolis this week to keep it a close game.
Indy should have beat Cincinnati. If Jack Doyle doesn't fumble on the 20-yard line, they probably win.
There was a lot going into it, and I think Luck looked progressively better, and I think there'll be opportunities for Indianapolis to keep this game inside of a touchdown potentially. So I'm willing to back Indy here. Final score, Redskins 21-17.
21-17 Redskins. Tim, what do you see from this? Because you liked the Skins coming into the season. You thought they'd be the second.
I thought they'd be a playoff team. I now think they're probably going to win it, be a division team, or at least they're going to be very close division team. At least as long as Wentz is out.
Are you just tracking his
as long as Wentz?
Well, since we've actually made there's 8 divisions, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. There's 8 divisions, right?
Yeah.
So since we've made the picks to the division, he's now picked 4 separate teams to win the respective division. So now we're now up to 12 division winners.
Is he prepared to swap out the Chiefs as AFC champs for the Jets as AFC champs?
Not yet.
Not okay. Just checking. Just
couple more weeks. I may not be able to control myself, but not yet. I'm not getting away from the Eagles because I think Wentz will be back and that will change things. But until Wentz does get back, I think Washington probably right now. Washington went into Arizona and they played after probably Tampa and the Jets. I think Washington was the most impressive team in week 1. They did everything you wanted to see from them. Now, when it comes to Adrian Peterson, I like to think of myself. You know how you're like the Bubba Watson whisperer, Pat? You know when Bubba Watson's going to go off? Since he returned, I like to think of myself as the AP whisperer. I have a sixth sense for knowing when he's going to be good and when he isn't. This is one of the weeks not to own him. This is not going to be a good week for him. I think Washington finds ways to put points up and yards up other than through Peterson. I think Chris Thompson has a really big game. I think that Vernon Davis has a big game, or at least a very good game. Alex Smith doesn't turn the ball over. He's a winner. Indianapolis going outdoors on the road to Washington. Washington's opener, 30-17 Washington.
So let me ask you this, because the Lions looked really brutal. People projected Arizona to be one of the worst teams in the league. So all these teams that played bad teams and looked really good, you're really in on. But the Ravens don't count? I don't understand that.
Buffalo wasn't even trying.
Neither was Arizona.
Buffalo rolled out at quarterback, quite positive, not quite positive, by the numbers, the worst quarterback in football history.
Your guy!
Yeah, you
Your guy!
you said that they were going to win the game because Nate Peterman was good.
I have learned from my mistakes.
So,
I was wrong. I'm allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, but if you hadn't picked Buffalo to win, then you would say the Ravens would be good.
I said I didn't pick them to win. I thought they would keep it close last week.
He also changed that 3 times, by the way.
There was an outside chance
he said that they were going to win, and then he said they'd lose by 7. Then he said he'd lose by 3. So he really covered the spectrum on everything there. And then they lost by 50.
They lost by 44. No, actually, I was relatively consistent. I thought Buffalo.
You
would
were
be
not.
close.
You were not relatively
really
consistent.
that Buffalo would be close.
Unlike you, we remember what is said. You just don't. You just live your truth in the moment. Not only do you live in the now, you live your truth.
That is not true.
It really is true, because this is why you change your picks every 20 seconds.
The people are with me on this.
What's that?
The people are with me on
The people
this.
are not with you on this. It's like when you say the people are with you when you put out one of your stupid fucking polls and 2% agree with you. Well, I won that one. Looking good.
All right.
So what's it going to be this time around?
What do you mean, what's it going to be this time around? I don't understand your question.
No, I mean, like, so is Buffalo bad or is Buffalo good now?
Buffalo is very bad.
All right, what about Arizona?
Arizona is terrible. I thought from the
So
start.
Arizona is terrible, but Washington killing them means Washington's really good. But I don't understand how this logic works.
Washington went on the road out west in a spot where Arizona historically has played well, and they just strangled the life of it. And Sam Bradford, and say what you want about him, is a credible NFL quarterback. He is an embarrassment the way Nathan Peterman is. Now, I think we're comparing apples to oranges here.
Geoff, what do you think?
He's got a lot of week 1 overreactions, but it's not too much of a stretch to think both Buffalo and Arizona will remain season-long dumpster fires.
But does that mean that the Redskins are now magically the best team in the NFC East?
No, to me, but a healthy Redskins team is very viable. I really like that team on paper when healthy. Even last year, the games that they compete in when healthy, I'm a big fan of, and Alex Smith is no drop-off. That being said, I think Indy just a weird game that Indy is able to stick around with.
I'm going to take Indy in this one. I do think that they end. I'm going to take Washington to win the game. I'll take Washington by 3. I think they win by a field goal. Let's say 24-21 for Washington. But the coin is on your side, Tim. The coin likes Washington to win the game here.
Good. Said the Skins are a playoff team. Sticking with it. They looked like a playoff team last week anyway.
Looked like a playoff team playing what you just said was one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, well, but you got to take care of business. You don't control what's on your schedule. And they were on the road against a credible quarterback.
You can't say that last week doesn't matter for one exact same circumstance. What would you say about the Bills?
They're not the exact same circumstances, though.
You just said that they're trash.
Buffalo was not just trash. They were starting an embarrassment at quarterback on the road in rainy weather where they had given up in the third quarter. Like, these things aren't comparable. You can try to, but they're just not actually.
You're using the same language for both of them. You're calling them both awful teams.
Oh, well, Buffalo is much with Peterman. Buffalo is significantly worse than ever. Buffalo wouldn't win a game with Peterman under center.
All right.
Arizona's going to win a couple of games.
Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Probably the best game of the early slate here. Projections like Pittsburgh to win here, which I don't think a lot of the public is going to end up seeing. I think that, like, if you just pick this game even just straight up, people will say, hey, Kansas City looks so good. They went into LA and beat a good Chargers team. And Pittsburgh looked abysmal. They tied Cleveland. Now, that was road Pittsburgh. We know that they're much better at home. I actually think Pittsburgh comes out here and does some damage. I think that they win this game. It's going to be high scoring. I'm sure of that. I'll say Pittsburgh wins 36-30.
This is a really tough game for me to call because I do see what are the projections. That being said, I felt Pittsburgh was overrated coming into the year. And while I was really high on LA last week in our season preview show, I did allude to thinking the overall perception of Kansas City was them being underrated. So based on that, I'm going to roll with the Chiefs just keeping it a close one. It can get out of hand early. And the one thing that the Chargers were unable, or looking back on Sunday, it almost feels like the Chargers did what cost them games, but Kansas City did things that, in my opinion, were almost impossible to defend, having not seen them on tape. So as a Charger fan, I hope there's a defensive coach out there in this league who's on Kansas City's schedule who can maybe put something on tape as a way to keep this team in check. But they will get burned on the back end. Rivers threw for 420. It could have been 600.
True, they would have been in that. I mean, we'll talk about the Chargers coming up. Let's talk about Kansas City.
No, but I just mean like the defense. So Roethlisberger's going to get his. You put out the thing at the start of the show for DK to win the free DK. Who's going to score the most points? How's it not in this football game?
It could be the Rams.
Fair enough. It could be the Rams. This is going to be an air show, a really exciting game. I think the Chiefs on the road hang around. 38-35 for the Steelers.
Oh, so you still think that the Steelers are going to win?
Yeah.
You just don't want Kansas City to win.
No, I do agree with you. It seems like that people are asking for people to really like KC this week.
I think that people will really like KC this week.
For good reason.
So, Tim, you have the Chiefs going to the AFC Championship game. Do you think that they win this game? Super Bowl, sorry.
Going to the Super Bowl. Everything I saw from the Chiefs last week, I pretty much thought I was going to get. The defense wasn't great, but I made a couple of plays, which was nice. The special teams is, again, top shelf, and that's critical. And Mahomes looked great. The thing about the Chiefs is they're one of those teams where they could be down 21-0, and they're about one of the three teams in the NFL who are not out of the game, who could absolutely come back because they can score from depth, they can score on all three sides of the ball, and they have game changers. There's nothing bad I can say about this Chiefs team other than their defense is a little sketchy. I think Pittsburgh's in some turmoil right now. They played embarrassing. I mean, they humiliated themselves. In week one. They still can't get over the Bell stuff. That still is lingering on the team. It's clear that Tomlin couldn't get them focused for week one. One should hope he can get them focused at home. The Chiefs are the better football team. So I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think the Chiefs right now have a better quarterback, and they have the better running back, and they have, other than Brown, they have better skill position players up and down the field. So, how's Pittsburgh winning this game is the better question. How's Pittsburgh scoring more points than these Chiefs? I don't see it. 31-30 Chiefs.
There's something I'm very...
How is Pittsburgh going to score points? I think they'll score 30 points.
No, how are they going to score more points than the Chiefs?
It's very easy because the Chiefs on the back end can be exposed. Yeah. And that was shown.
And Pittsburgh's defense is better than Kansas City's
And yes,
defense.
you can hope... Now, here's the thing.
How are they going to score more points? Their defense steps up, slows down Kansas City, and Kansas City has nothing to do to stop Pittsburgh.
I disagree with one or two. I don't want to say I disagree with anything Tim said, but there's something I'm very interested to see. And the Chargers were unable to... Mahomes got up 14-0, 14-3, and it sort of created the game that they want to play. I'm not saying it would be incapable because he is so talented. And it's like they run the Alex Smith offense, but at a higher speed. Because it's a lot of the same plays. It's a lot of still 3rd and 2. The quarterback will put his head down and get out of the pocket and get the first down. They ran a lot of the same stuff. But I'd be interested to see what happens the first time Mahomes is down 14 points and defenses get to pin their ears back against him. And don't punt to Tyreek Hill. Don't punt to him.
Savvy football.
Yeah.
Don't punt to Tyreek Hill.
Simple.
I like the way that Pittsburgh's defense played last week. And Ben put them in a whole bunch of really awkward positions, and their defense just kept coming through. When you look at the end of it, they gave up a bunch of points. They did play 5 quarters, and they had to deal with short fields a lot of the time. And they didn't break. They didn't break at all. And they kept getting to Tyrod. What happens here if they can bring in a huge amount of pressure? That's the one thing I was surprised the Chargers weren't able to do. Maybe because Bosa's not playing, and it's just not the same, or maybe it's week 1. I don't know what it was, but they weren't getting to Mahomes whatsoever.
They didn't know. Andy Reid called an absolute perfect game. That was my fear. There was nothing on tape. There were some play calls that were impossible to defend, and there were plays where, the Hill touchdown on the slant, you just got to make the safeties got to make certain tackles. That being said, they possess a lot of weapons. They're hard to defend. They're gonna be a tough out for a lot of teams. Next game here.
I do want to remind everyone to get all of our picks to see what we have picked. Go to facebook.com/thepme to check out the picks cheat sheet. That would be very valuable information, even if you just want to follow along with everything as well. Here's the game to talk about, Geoff. You ready for this?
No, I don't want it.
The Chargers traveling across country to take on Josh Allen and the mighty Buffalo Bills in their home opener. The big thing, projections have the Chargers winning this game by a lot. As they probably should. They're supremely more talented than the Bills are. As Tim said, the Bills aren't even really a real team at this point. They're like an Arena League team or a CFL team, or if they still, or maybe an XFL. Maybe the Bills will go play in the XFL. I don't know. But I've seen this game happen a whole bunch of times in my life, where the Bills get written off after week 1 because they suck. And then some good West Coast team comes in to play them. It happened with Arizona like 2 years ago. And then
Oakland, even?
Yeah, there's a couple of the. It's usually a week 2 game, and everyone just writes off the Bills, and then all of a sudden the Bills win. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but does that worry you?
I am so worried because we got everything to lose here. Part of me thinks, reflecting the Chiefs made X Factor plays. The Chargers couldn't make any of them. That was the difference through everything that happened in the game. The Chargers were real stable to kind of stay around. You mentioned it. They couldn't put any pressure on the quarterback. When we did the show last week, and I assured, when we recorded the show, Bosa was healthy.
Yeah.
He had recovered from that first injury.
How long is he going to be out for? Weeks?
Tim, can you look at it? Because I'm supposed to get an answer today, and I've been nervous to look. Maybe it's come down in the last hour.
Well, if he's in a walking boot, he's not playing this
I don't
week.
even want to risk him playing this week. Because I like to think maybe they could win the game without him. That being said, I'm a big Pro Football Focus guy. In every game he's missed, the Chargers' grade is very low defensively. When he plays, it's exceptionally higher. I'm nervous because we got everything to lose here. And I'm not nervous about a single player on the Bills. It's just the home opener.
Shady's the only guy to worry about. Like, the Bills' path to winning this game is Shady goes crazy, and they have one of those fluke turnover games that the Bills love
The
to
Chargers
have.
going to charge. Something will happen. I like to think against the Bills, maybe the Chargers will have like one mulligan, like they couldn't overcome against the Chiefs. They can't protect their quarterback, though.
Is everyone in the world going to love the Chargers here?
I don't think so. Really? I think there's a fear factor about the Chargers, like especially from a suicide perspective. I think people see the Chargers as a team they can't trust and need signs before they're willing to back them, in my opinion.
We'll get to your score last. Tim, what do you make of this game?
I think all of that is well said, but the Bills are terrible. And in the end, that's. I mean, we can talk it square, we can talk it round, but in the end, the Chargers are so much better at everything that I don't care. Josh Allen's first game, he doesn't have anybody to really throw to. I like Benjamin as a player, but he's clearly just not performing. They didn't even throw at their tight end once.
No, that's not true. They kept throwing to Kroon.
Okay, that guy, not Clay. Fine, they kept throwing to that guy. McCoy is going to get bottled up. I haven't read I don't see any Bosa news yet, so they still haven't announced it. Like, there's a bundle of teams this week that I think all are certainly not going to lose, and this is one of those 5 teams I think are certainly not going to lose.
Really? Certainly not going to lose.
Well, he didn't go as far as to say other things.
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly not going to make insane proclamations about the Chargers. I got one thing that I can break down this game with. Is Tyreek Hill on the Bills?
No.
Chargers win 28-17.
I'll say 28-10 for the Chargers. Tim, what was your score?
34-13.
34-13. I feel like we're all going to be wrong about this.
I am nervous to the moon. I might not be around.
To quote a friend, this is going to be a whooping.
Minnesota at Green Bay. We're not sure about the health of Rodgers yet. I'm guessing he's playing, though, isn't he?
I guess he wouldn't play.
I would.
Why would you risk
the
it?
Vikings at home, because it's a divisional, like a critical divisional game at Lambeau.
Because Tim works under the impression that if they lose this game, they're like finished
No,
for the year.
They're not. Losing it will really hurt them down the stretch, and that's a big deal.
Do you know what else would hurt them down the stretch? If the Vikings beat up Aaron Rodgers and he doesn't play anymore, and they get your guy, the fucking Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, I still think Kaiser was abused last season from strategy, and he could be all right.
Oh yeah, he looked fantastic. He looked fantastic on Sunday night.
He did hand that ball to Mack for a touchdown. That was disappointing. I think if Rodgers can play, he's going to want to play, and if I'm the Packers, I want him to play. I want to win this game. And I think they're going to, because the Vikings last week defense played great, and they deserve all props. But no, that offense did not look nearly as exciting as people imagined that it was. I mean, San Francisco was within one score of the game, and really they made a couple of stupid mistakes, or the Niners probably would have won the game. Like, the Vikings were unimpressive to me, and now they're going into Lambeau. Like, if Rodgers plays, I mean, the difference at quarterback is so great that I don't see the Vikings. Unless the Vikings defense goes wild and steal this game, which I guess is possible. The Bears almost did. I think the Packers take care of the Vikings with alacrity.
I'll say this: if Rodgers plays, I like the Packers by anything. The other part of it is, I wouldn't play him. They said he has a sprained knee. It's week 2. Like, they got a mulligan win last week, as far as I'm concerned. So it's almost like, I know it might be a silly way to look at it. I'm not a Packer fan. I'm indifferent, but I'm thinking about the long-term season. Like, they got a free house money victory in being able to come back last week. So in my opinion, unless, like, if he has a sprained knee, I wouldn't play them. I get it's a big divisional game. That being said,
he's going to play.
So if he plays,
is what I'm going to guess.
Then I think the Packers will win by whatever's required of them. If he doesn't play, there's no numbers that I think Kaiser could move the ball on that Vikings D. I think they would suffocate him.
Yeah, that's the way that I would think about it too. I think that Minnesota wins this game either way. This just strikes me as like a 20-13 game. I think their defense is really good. Unlike Tim, I'm not like really, really anally hurt that Kirk Cousins didn't sign with the Jets. So therefore, I think that he's actually quite good.
Why would I be upset? We have a better quarterback and we're paying him a tenth of the money.
Well, you did say that Kirk Cousins was a top 5 talent in the league, and then when he didn't sign with the Jets, he went to a bottom 5 talent in the league.
It's the exact same as Bradford's draft ranking before being a Jet.
Darnold.
Oh, Darnold's draft ranking before he's a Jet and after he's a Jet. It's pretty simple.
So I liked what I saw from Minnesota. I thought the defense looked good. They played a competitive game, and Tim spent the entire preseason and offseason talking about how great Jimmy G is and how he's a top 5 quarterback as well. So Minnesota's defense shuts down a top 5 quarterback, and then all of a sudden, San Francisco's not good anyway.
No. The Niners offense got shut down by the Vikings. The Vikings D played great. I give them all props. But the Niners also made a couple of dumb mistakes on their own. If they just had Goodwin in the game, I think they probably would have won it. But nevertheless, the Vikings deserve all the credit for winning that game at home, as they should have, because people thought they would win that game. But this is a different spot. I think it's a very low-scoring game and actually relatively close, but in the end, talent wins out for Green Bay 17-14.
So you guys are picking Green Bay to win. Me and the coin are picking the Vikings. Last game of the early slate, Eagles at the Bucks.
Hate it.
By the projections, the Eagles are projected to win, but not by a ton in this spot. I think that people are playing with a lot of recency bias with this one. Now, obviously, the Eagles are still banged up. Foles is starting. Wentz isn't playing. There's still going to be no Elshon Jeffrey. But, Geoff, the Fitz magic. I've referenced this on like 3 straight shows. It's very indicative of why people get really mad. Like, there's 2 types of fantasy football people who like watch these shows and everything. I like everyone who watches. I don't want to make fun of too many people, but I'll make fun make fun of them on both sides. That someone will ask a question that is so ludicrous that you can't fathom why anyone would ask this. And then other people, like, I'll write a waiver wire column and I'll say these guys are owned in 60% of well, not my league. It's like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to like write something for your specific league and that league, and I'll do it for every single person who watches the show? That seems very feasible. But the question was, do I drop Deshaun Watson for Ryan Fitzpatrick?
This is crazy. But I thought the best tweet you got, you responded to, was when somebody said, if Ryan Fitzpatrick keeps playing like this, do you think Tampa will replace him? You quote tweeted, said, if he throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns every week, I think he'll keep his job. I laughed out loud at that.
So we're playing with two situations here. You have Fitzmagic coming off the fantastic game. We've seen this before from Fitzpatrick. He went through for 6 touchdowns. As Gary pointed out on the ranking show, he went through for 6 touchdowns one game, like 3 games later he threw 6 picks because it's the Fitzmagic.
I know about it.
The defense for the Eagles actually looked quite good. I think the Eagles just go in and absolutely pummel them. Like 30-3. Now, it would be very Fitzmagic-like to go out and put up another big performance, and then for the next 3 weeks, Jameis will start, Jameis will be over suspension, they'll cut Jameis, sign Fitzmagic, and then he'll have, the worst season of all time. But I think this is where it stops. The Eagles just wax them here. Like I said, 30-3 is my guess.
Something feels so off about this. And I'll say this. There's a few people out there in Eagles Nation that seem to take note of when I don't pick them. So thanks for watching, I guess. To me, there's only one side here. It's Eagles or nothing. And I don't know. I don't have the utmost confidence in it. But for what they're asking me to do here, I gotta play the Eagles with the long week. I'll give this thing a score. It'll be an ugly one. 19-14.
19-14 Eagles?
An ugly game.
Tim?
27-17 Eagles. I spent a lot of time with this game because my first gut reaction as I woke up and looked at it was like, I like Tampa. But the more I thought about it, it was like, you know what? That was an aberration. You were right to think Tampa's a bad team. They just had a bad week. Don't overreact to this. That's like when Barney said, I woke up this morning and promised I was not going to lick that man's windows. Like I told myself when I was not going to overreact the way Tampa Bay performed this last week, and I'm not going to. I think the Eagles are still – I'm wondering whether Foles just had a magical couple of games and he was that he was a pumpkin that turned into a carriage, which is turned back into a pumpkin. I think that's very possible. That could be on the table. Foles could ruin this game on his own. If Tampa can move the ball with some speed, if Deshaun Jackson in a revenge game
Deshaun Jackson's not playing.
You don't think so?
No, he has a concussion and a bruised shoulder, and is not practicing.
I think if he can play, he's going to because he really wants to show something.
I don't think they're going to let him play because he has a brain injury. Tim.
Just doesn't this game?
Now I know we let you on the show with massive head injuries and brain trauma, but still, this is football.
And Mike Evans last week looked like the top 2 or 3 receiver we thought he was going to be last year. Like Tampa, everything clicked for Tampa last week. Everything could click for them again. I just think the Eagles defensively should be able to contain them. But again, we said that about the Saints last week, or I did anyway, and the Saints couldn't stop them. The Saints defense was really good last year. So I'm taking Philly to win by 10 points. I'm not touching this in any way, shape, or form in terms of prediction other than what we're going to say here on the show. I'm very tepid about it.
Pardon my ignorance on geography, but are they going to potentially have hurricane issues, or is it more Jacksonville?
I think it's more north.
And Washington then also might?
Georgia, South Carolina area. I think Nashville's if there were a risk to a game, the one in Nashville is probably bigger than this one.
I haven't read too much about that yet, though.
The one in Jacksonville, I think, could be the really scary one.
I thought it was north of that.
They are. Luckily, the Panthers played at home last week, so we don't have a game in Charlotte.
Yeah, Tampa's on the opposite coast, right?
Yeah, Tampa's on the west.
Gulf.
Yeah. Okay.
Coin likes Tampa Bay.
Feels like someone's tricking you here, but I'm not. I'm gonna take
it
the
does,
bait.
doesn't it?
I'm
really
gonna take the bait with the Eagles, and because I'm on them for the first time, people are gonna be mad and they're gonna lose.
No, that's not good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to this late set of games here. Should point out for the people still watching here at the 54-minute mark, we're using some different language today. That's the language that we're going to continue to use for a little while until stuff gets figured out. So, hey, again, hit up the Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme, to find the picks cheat sheet. Everything will be cool. Arizona at the Rams. Rams looked, I don't want to say they looked super great. They didn't look super great.
Second half, they looked
Second half, they
fantastic.
looked great, yes. But who was more impressive, scripted Bears or the first 10 scripted plays of the Raiders?
The Raiders game worked out the way Geoff thought that the Chiefs game would work out last week. That once we got through the scripted plays, once the live bullets were flying after that the Chargers would take over. Like, that's what happened. The Raiders had a perfect set of plays scheduled to beat the Rams in the first half, really. And then just after that, Wade Phillips just decided, okay, I know how Oakland wants to play this now. I'm going to smother them to death, and he did. That was very impressive. It was good to see the Rams have a little bit of adversity in week 1 and then come back in the second half and absolutely torch the Raiders in Oakland. I thought the Rams were going to win the Super Bowl this year. I saw nothing on Monday night, that made me in any way, shape, or form be unhappy with that pick. I think the Rams are great, and so I expect them to take care of business by 10 points in this game, 30-20.
30-20 is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
This is one of those games, Pat, where after Monday, a lot is being asked of Team A versus Team B than was before the games.
Don't forget short week here too.
Yeah, short week, late game.
Division game.
It's really tough because there's a huge overreaction here, but Arizona could be
one of the worst teams in football.
Yeah, it's like I saw why you could make the case for the over, and I believe I picked the over just based on how many games they won last year and what was being asked of them for their season-long outlook there. But you worry this game could get the Rams kind of like last week, like against these bad teams, even late. I think the games can get away from the other team.
Yeah, the defense is, it seems like it's going to be a defense that's going to be very opportunistic, especially because they can get to the quarterback, which they didn't do. They pressured Carr a lot. They didn't sack him a lot. They were just like, hey, Carr, why don't you throw it to us, directly to us?
Why do you have to pressure Carr when all he's going to do is throw to tight ends and running backs?
That was really weird.
What, 42, 41, 43 dropbacks, 9 passes to receivers? I guess we'll get to Oakland when we get there, but wow. I think for a lot of this game, Arizona might be able to be within a score, but I think by the time 60 minutes are up, it might look a lot like last week's score for the Rams. So
what do you think?
Give me the Rams to take this thing 28-13.
28-13.
Yeah.
I actually think I think the Rams win this game too. And I mean, I don't know if I should consult with you guys on this or not. Should this be my survivor pick? Because I don't know. I don't know.
You don't have to ask me.
I don't know if I want your guys' advice.
You don't want my advice.
The way that I see it is a lot like that Tampa New Orleans game last week. It's just these.
Well, then you definitely don't want to take them as your survivor pick.
But what's option B? The Chargers in going into the Ralph? Because that's
I'll talk about this. I'll talk about this at the end. I guess the big thing for me is these division games tend to be a lot closer than you think, and then they start becoming a bit coin flippy. Just because these teams are so familiar with one another. They see each other all the time, and it is a new coaching staff in Arizona. So maybe there's a new look that they're going to throw out here that the Rams that we just didn't see last week. Like the Rams or the Cardinals were bad last week, but like David Johnson came very close to scoring a bunch of times. And listen, everyone's talking about how great Todd Gurley is. It's not so long ago that David Johnson's by far the best running back in this division. It's not even close. Then he goes down in week 1, and then all of a sudden Todd Gurley's almost the MVP. Like David Johnson is still an excellent player. I can see how this game gets out of hand, like you mentioned, and that's very much on the table. But I think the Rams win, but I think it's closer than people think. I'll say 28-20.
Jared Goff reminds, his pocket movements are the best I've seen since Peyton Manning.
I don't think Jared Goff is any good.
Fine, but the way
he doesn't throw to anyone who's covered. Ever. These guys are wide open all the time.
Well, sure, and the Raiders put zero pressure on the quarterback that he literally was able to go through all 4 progressions and then go back to his first read if he still didn't see something. So I guess the byproduct of who they played and the literally lack of pressure made him look outstanding.
I think it's a big on scheme too. I think Sean McVay schemes these guys wide open, and then you're asking Jared Goff to throw to a guy with no one around him for 5 yards. And
fine.
And he can do that. And it's going to make him look good. And that's not going to change.
Yeah, but
Chandler Jones might get all up in his grill.
His ball fakes really impress me. And I don't know whether it's that like high cam they use maybe on the Monday night telecast.
Well, I mean, the whole offense is just Gurley. Gurley does stuff, and people are so terrified of Gurley. And every time he touches the ball against the Raiders, like, oh, here's Gurley running for 30 yards. It's like they can't tackle him. That teams have to focus on him so much. They're basically like, we got to let Jared Goff beat us because we have to do everything we can to stop. We have to bite on that play fake because if we don't, Gurley's going 80 yards. And we can't have that happen.
Yeah. Let me, though, say a couple of words for the Cardinals because I said I don't think the Rams are going to win by 10 points. And it's that it is a divisional game. And it's well said that unlike a team like Buffalo, which has no talent, Arizona do have some very good, proud players like David Johnson, like Larry Fitzgerald. On the defense, they have guys who are proud, and I think they're embarrassed at how they looked last week. And if they have any strength, will sort of show up and perform here. So I think at least early in the game they could give the Rams trouble, sort of like the Raiders do. But the Rams will figure it out late and put the game to bed. But I expect Arizona to show a lot more verve than they did last week. So let that be said for them.
Detroit at San Francisco. San Francisco back home. You mentioned all the Jimmy G turnovers. Garion brought this up. Are the Niners like Falcons West, but they just can't score in the red zone?
I don't know. It's only 1 week. I mean, I'm not willing to make that declaration.
I mean, we saw this from Jimmy G last year, too. Every time he got inside the 20-yard line, they didn't score touchdowns.
But he fumbled from the 1 last week. That shouldn't have happened. I'm not really willing to go there yet. I also don't think he has like the preeminent receiver that you can. Like with Matt Ryan, it's so glaring because not only do they not score, they don't even target like the super elite player.
Hey, he has the most red zone targets of any receiver in football right now, Julio Jones.
He was targeted on 3rd and 4th down in the game against the Eagles. Like,
okay.
Because you've got people who think that Julio should be getting the ball on every single play, and who also believe that no NFL team should ever run the ball. They should pass it 55 times a game and run it never. Those people have a louder voice than perhaps they ought to because of social media. I actually don't mind what the Falcons are doing half the time. But we're getting off on a tangent here. But like Geoff is right. The Niners don't also have that premier playmaker on offense who can catch the ball the way the Falcons.
You did just say if Marquise Goodwin had stayed healthy, they would have beat the Vikings. So Marquise Goodwin, according to you, is worth 8 points.
I think he would have been able to take some of the coverage.
If they protected the football better, they might have been able to
win that touchdown.
To win the game last week.
But not protecting the football is like Jimmy G's thing.
Okay, fine. And I don't know. I'm plugging my nose while doing this. I'm leaning Detroit.
Detroit in a bounce back now that the world has given up on them?
Yeah, it's almost, and this isn't like picking on the Jets and like pumping Detroit. It's almost me just banking on what everybody's eyes saw on Monday, watching week 1 Monday Night Football at 7 o'clock, which is even like an hour earlier than most Monday nights. So the Jets look like the best and the Lions look like the worst. I'm willing to just call it overreaction week 1 and trying to find a little more edge. So I think the 49ers, or Detroit, in pure Detroit fashion, other than last Monday, will lose a close game and are probably a good. In classic Lions fashion, someone will have the ball with 2 minutes left in this game going for a game-winning field goal.
So you think the Lions like lose by 2 kind of thing?
Yeah,
classic Lions. So you still like the Niners to win.
Yeah, just a classic Detroit Lions game, which means they'll lose it by 2 or 3, or maybe squeak it out. But an incredibly close football game I got here.
Coin likes the Niners, Tim. I'm kind of leaning with Geoff here. I think this game might be closer than like everyone's eyes kind of perceive it to be going into it. Because like, the Niners were preseason favorites. Oh, they played the Vikings. The Vikings are projected to go to the Super Bowl. So, no big deal. The Niners back at home. They'll be great. Jimmy G's going to be great. The Lions are the worst team in football. They got beat up by the shitty Jets. So, like, where are the real teams here? Like, where does the real result lie, do you think?
I think the 49ers blow their doors off. Just like the Jets use the Lions to announce themselves, the 49ers will use the Lions to announce themselves. This Lions team is trash. Jimmy G at home, the Niners at home in comfortable confines, the Lions on a short week going across the continent to play outdoors. Nothing feels good about that for me. I think the Niners are unhappy that they only managed to put up 16 points, and in a lot of ways gave away a game they could have won. They had every opportunity. They had the game on their racket in a lot of ways. And they let it go. I think they take care of business. 37-21, and I think I'm going to be generous to Detroit there. In that, if there were a bundle of games I liked the best, like this is definitely the Niners. I don't see losing.
There's no, based on what I've seen, like what you said, my eyes are telling me that the Niners are going to do what Tim says. Are just going to go and absolutely wax the Lions. But it just feels like such a greasy Lions game.
Yeah, it does feel like a greasy Lions game. If the result is like Tim says, I wouldn't be shocked because I saw a head coach on Detroit that looked overwhelmed, really overwhelmed on Sunday. And that's not a good sign. There's ways to lose, and then there's like just feeling like you have no grasp of your football team. So that's a big concern. And I wonder, I'm also afraid of like a major overreaction on a major Stafford like regression season, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not there yet.
What actually happened to his knee when he went down there?
He got a helmet into the side of his knee, and he looked like he was in quite a bit of distress. I thought maybe he had bruised or pulled something. And he couldn't run on that drive, and the Jets just kept sending the house because they knew if they ran, great, we'll bottle it up, and if they throw, we won't be able to move, and he couldn't. Then I don't know, he got a cortisone shot or something. I don't know what happened, and he was healthy in the second half, but he just couldn't stop throwing at guys in white jerseys.
I'm going to take San Francisco in a squeaker here. I'll say 21-20. San Francisco is my pick. New England at Jacksonville. Saxonville, Tim. What happens when your two least favorite teams play each other?
I hope the power goes out.
They're in the
No, I don't. I don't. Listen, I don't like Jacksonville. I am going to be rooting for Jacksonville at full throat in this game. If nothing, because I would like to see them take down a desiccated, overrated, and as we saw, that perfectly average team last week. Like, Jacksonville did not look impressive either, and let's be honest. But like, their defense still was stout. Other than that one bad mistake on the Barkley play where he made a great move to get away from the tackle, Jacksonville did a very effective job shutting down the Giants' weapons. So they held New York to 15 points. I think they probably hold the Patriots to the Patriots are going to score more than that. But I got a feeling that at home they want revenge. The Patriots on the road in Florida have a history of playing bad games in the state of Florida. I don't see why this would be any different. I think the Jaguars win the game 30 to 28 in a relatively high-scoring game. Jacksonville gets their revenge, and as long as the referees actually look at things between 2 minutes, and if Bill O'Brien is such a stupid coach. He has to know the Patriots are running up to the line. Call timeout. Yeah, he can't challenge it, but if he calls timeout, he gives New York an opportunity to look at that play, and that changes the whole direction of the game. Bill O'Brien is such a moron. We see this. He doesn't know how to manage a game. We should hope that Jacksonville can do a little better. Jacksonville's defense should eat that Patriot team alive. They did for 3.5 quarters in Foxborough in the cold. Now you come down to the heat and the humidity with a New England team that looks positively pedestrian. I mean, I think projections like the Patriots to win this game, I don't see it. I think it's a real upset if the Patriots win this game.
Do you think it would be a real upset if the Patriots won this game, Geoff?
No.
Is anything a real upset if the Patriots win any game against anyone?
I would think not. And
you think that if the Patriots beat the Jets in New York, that people will consider that a real upset?
People will have changed their tune by the time that game comes around. You'll see.
This was one where I'm just so tempted to blindly say, with what's being asked of you, Brady over Bortles.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like to get, and I agree, Tim makes a lot of good points on how the game flow really could unfold. Push comes to shove, I'm going to keep it simple. I'll take Brady over Bortles.
I'm going to take Brady over Bortles, too. I think the game is incredibly close, but it seems like Jacksonville should have won that game last year in the playoffs. And then they did.
Yeah, the referee screwed them.
And they did. And that was their best shot. They're not as good this year. They're not. They're still good, mind you. They're just not they're not going to get all that momentum again. Like, Bortles was... The Giants' defense is awful. And, like, Brady played a bad game on Sunday and still looked good. And I would be worried that they're going to... What's that?
He looked bad in other stretches. He overthrew a ton of open receivers. Like,
that's what I'm saying. When I said he looked bad last week, what part of he looked bad did you not fucking hear?
You said, but he still looked good. Like, he looked.
No, he still had a good game.
He's still
in spite.
Just don't listen, do you? At all. A word that's being said.
I listen, but I'm also
You don't listen. You just, again, you hear what you want to hear because all you do is live your truth.
I'm expecting...
I say Patriots by 3.
Yeah, I'm expecting an incredibly close game. But even if it's this final score that Tim says it's going to be, Patriots win that game. He's got it 30-28. It'll be Patriots 30-28.
Yeah,
I don't see Jacksonville winning by a couple points. If Jacksonville wins, I think it'll be one of those like really ugly September Patriot games. Tim mentioned how they struggle in Florida a lot.
And we've seen Jacksonville routes too.
Yeah.
Like they route good teams,
But
like 44-3.
But if it's a tight one, all day, to me, New England will win the tight game.
Yeah, no matter how good Jacksonville's defense looks in this game and how well they're playing at the time, if you have the choice that one of these teams can drive to win the game with a field goal, I say New England drives and kicks that field goal and wins the game. Jacksonville probably throws a pick.
Yeah,
if Gostowski missed that game winner.
Well, I mean, did you shake his hand earlier this week like you did before the Super Bowl?
And
no.
New England can't afford any hiccups because the Jets are so good.
That's right.
That they can't afford, like in the past they knew they had a game to give maybe because of the division. The Jets are so good that New England knows there is no place they can let up this year.
Are you reading my notes? I actually had something very similar written down that this is not a year that the Patriots can mess around with AFC games because the Jets are hot on their heels and we're like Quicksilver, we're like Mercury. The slightest little crack, we're gonna slip through and get them. So the fact that the Patriots can, they slacked off against the Texans but did enough to win. If they slack off against the Jags, who should have beat them last year, they're going to get eaten. And because the Jets, they're coming.
He's over there fucking slacking off. Sam Darnold, Super Bowl Sam. Do you have a naked poster of Super Bowl Sam in your room yet?
Tim, a lot of people say I have like a Darnold look, like between my hair and nose. Like I'm a fatter Sam Darnold.
I don't know about that.
Your hair's
Same
not quite
size.
as red as yourself.
Thanks. Yeah, the redder hair, but a couple people sent me like pics.
Do you think that Sam Darnold will ever lose a game in his career, Tim?
Of course he'll lose some games. The referees will screw him.
Yeah, that's where there it is.
No. Listen, I'm being facetious. Obviously, they're going to lose some games this year, but not that many.
I see Sam Darnold. I love Phillip Rivers with more than you love your mom. That being said, there will be a day where the Chargers will have a quarterback that can run a run-pass option, and I'm really excited about that.
You don't think Phil can?
He took, no, but he took like Taekwondo this offseason. He looks a lot sprier. I mean it. Got sacked once, threw one pick. Move on.
Oakland
That
at
was bad.
Oakland at Denver. Denver is projected to win this game because Oakland kind of reeks. Wish I had gone with my gut instead of just trying to reverse engineer everything in my mind.
That was
that was just a big mistake.
Felt
on
good
it.
the first 5 minutes though.
Yeah, I was like, Oakland looks pretty good here.
Yeah.
Oh, good God. Does this game work out like the Detroit game? That everyone's just so fresh in everyone's mind that Oakland looks so bad that all of a sudden they're competing with Denver?
There are similarities. That's a great point. You see a lot of similarities on many fronts. I just can't get over, and I get, it's a compound and it's a glaring thing and it's easily magnified because of the Khalil Mack trade. They can't put any pressure on the quarterback. They can't.
Well, and their defense just overall is very, very bad.
So I don't care. Case Keenum can be mistake prone, but how do you make a mistake with 5.5 seconds?
Exactly. I guarantee you that Case Keenum is the quarterback playing DraftKings this week. He's the guy I would be targeting over anybody.
See,
Of his
I liked him too.
No, it makes sense.
His price and the defense he's against, he's not going to turn the ball over against the Raiders. He's a chuck the ball all over the
But you know,
guy.
Wouldn't
I
you
really like it.
stream who? I mean, if I guess quarterbacks are drafted, but you almost play whoever's playing the Raiders
Or Buffalo.
No, Buffalo has segments of defense.
They have 2 good DBs.
That's who can maybe stop defense or a quarterback. Oakland, to me, has not much. And yeah, there's some elements of the overreaction, but give me Denver at home in the altitude. Also, this car, I spoke about the target thing. You can't throw that ball that many times and so few targets to receivers without having a significant trust issue with whether it's the play calling, your protections, or the receivers. How can the receivers get so few targets on that many dropbacks?
I mean, this is a common theme. This is before Gruden. This is now after Gruden. So BG and AG. That Derek Carr doesn't throw the ball down the field. This isn't like a new thing that he doesn't take shots.
Fair.
He throws the person who's standing the closest to him most of the time.
For purpose of a score projection, 27-17, Broncos at home. Broncos to 2-0, Pat's AFC West pick.
I'm going to say 20-10 for the Broncos. I think the defense just does enough to smother them. Oakland shows up a little bit, but not enough. And eventually Denver runs away with it. Tim?
26-19, Denver.
26-19 Denver?
Yeah, I see a failed 2-point conversion there. Something wonky. Numbers are weird now.
The coin likes Oakland to win.
Uh-oh.
So watch out for the coin and its backing of John Gruden and the Oakland Raiders. Sunday night game. Giants at Dallas. I guess it has to be a Sunday night game because it's Giants at Dallas. And it's a Sunday night game every year, but
It's usually Tuesday. This is probably going to be another Sunday nighter.
Okay, so who are the truly awful teams in football? Buffalo, maybe the Cardinals. The Lions looked really bad.
I'm not going here with you.
I'm
not going here with you. You're alone here.
I thought Dallas's defense looked okay. I don't see how they scored more than 10 points in like most games. Zeke has to do everything himself, and he's facing like 9-man fronts now.
Their defense is still a better unit than any of those other teams have. For me to put them in that classification
okay, that's
of
fair.
a team.
And they have Zeke, which helps.
Yeah.
They have bad coaching.
I actually really like Dallas at home here after what was probably a primetime-esque audience at 4 o'clock for that Fox national game. Everyone saw Dallas be deplorable, not be able to move a football. Give me Dallas at home. I'll take them to win an exciting, 27-21 football game on Sunday night.
I'm sort of torn on it because I was not impressed. I did like that Beckham ended up with, the Jags did exactly what they needed to against Beckham. He just take your space and we're not going to let you get behind us. Even after you catch the ball, we're just going to smother you right away. I don't know if Dallas can do that. Like, he had 11 catches for over 100 yards against the Jags. They just let that was the Giants' offense. You take what you need to do. Barkley breaks the one big one. So when I watched that Carolina game, I don't know if Cam's much better than Eli is, but overall, the pieces on each offense. Now, maybe the guy getting them the ball was the most important part, which it is, but maybe we'll take it back a little bit. That Barkley's still an excellent player, Beckham's still an excellent player. Dallas should have given up over 30 points against the Panthers. They just couldn't close every time they got in close. Now, I don't know if the Giants can do that at all, but I think that they're going to be able to score here, and I don't know if Dallas can score. So that's where I'm at. Tim, tell me either way.
I think they can score enough. Perhaps I'm not as strong in my sense on this game as Geoff is. I have the Cowboys winning 20-14 in quite an ugly, dour, sleepy game because I could see both I don't see Dak making the critical mistake. I think Eli will. I think Dallas will score on the defensive side because Eli will make a stupid play or Dallas will burst something in special teams. I don't know. I just feel like they're home. They're sort of embarrassed with putting up 8 points in a big game. Their running game is better than it showed.
Okay, I agree that their running game is better than it showed and Zeke is better than it showed, but all defenses, it's like when we talk about like the Gurley thing, like teams bite so much to stop Gurley, and then Goff just has guys that are wide open, and that offense is schemed so well that it gets to the point where you kind of have to give Gurley a little bit of room because you can't just have 3 receivers wide open the entire time because you're going to lose that way. Carolina actively took Zeke out of that game. Like, you're not doing anything, pal. We're going to put...
Yeah, but I'm not sure if the Giants can do such a thing.
But if you commit the amount of bodies to do it, what's the rest of the offense?
Prescott's fine, though. Prescott's not a bad quarterback.
Prescott is
like 14 for 24 for like 180.
Prescott's not a bad quarterback, but are we certain Dak's a good quarterback?
No, but he's better than Eli. He's the better QB in the game. And I think, like I said, I trust him more not to make the soul-crushing interception or the strip fumble. I don't like either of these teams very much, but I just think, at home, Dallas is probably the better team. I like them to win by almost a touchdown.
I think that the Giants win this game by a field goal. I don't feel strongly about this whatsoever, but I just think that if you have Zeke on one side of the ball and you got Barkley, and let's give the edge to Zeke in that for the moment, but it's close. Then you just have Beckham versus Beckham himself is better than the rest of that. The best three receivers in this game are all on the Giants. Beckham, Shepard is dealing with the back problem, and Ingram.
But is the best unit in this game not the Dallas defense?
Yeah, but I don't think it's substantially better than the Giants defense. Do you?
Okay, fine. No, I'm afraid of that, the slants to Beckham that just get housed and break the game open. I'm not there. I'm not there with the world on Dallas being as bad as you're making them out to be.
I'm not there yet. No.
I mean,
I can be convinced.
And they play defense. They run the ball. I'm gonna try Dallas here.
This is going to be a very, very slow game. So what did you guys predict the scores to be, Ish?
20-14 Dallas.
20-14. I'm going to say 17-14 Giants. Because there's no Jason Witten to catch 2 touchdowns for Dallas now against the Giants like he does every time.
Speaking of which, he's no Tony Romo.
No, he is not.
He is no. I mean, they just think that they could just pull these Cowboys off the field and because one was really good, the other's going to do it.
He was better than Rex Ryan was.
Yeah, fine. That's fine. And I don't doubt his ability to grow into the role, and I don't doubt his ability to deserve an NFL media job. But there should be a lot of bitter guys, like how he jumps the ladder to Team A Monday Night Football with that skill set.
Can you explain to me why Booger McFarland isn't a cherry picker on the sidelines? What's the point of that?
It's a different view. It seems interesting. They got him floating above the field.
All right. Just have him in the booth.
Maybe he levitates. Maybe he's
he is levitating out there.
Also, by the way, I didn't bring this up. I was personally insulted that for the first time in ESPN's history, they put their number 2 crew on the first game. How dare they?
Because all offseason, he talked about how prestigious it was for the Jets to be there. And then you turn it on, and it's the B crew. And I know that B crew well, because that's the crew that would always do the Chargers second.
Always did the late game.
Yeah, but nothing was ever as bad as Chris Berman Dilfer.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, Mike Tirico, or sorry, it was Mike Greenberg, Mike Golan. That was not a good booth.
Okay. I like Tessitore, though. I think he's a great addition to NFL because I love his college calls.
I think Booger's insightful, and I actually don't think
it's funny when he said it. It sounds like I think eating boogers is insightful. Is what it sounded like that you said.
I actually don't mind that first crew, but they should have been on our game.
I'm gonna cut that to make it sound like you said. I don't mind eating boogers.
I think boogers. I actually don't mind that.
That's exactly what I heard. All right.
So if they're going to get anyone to levitate Tim as a sideline reporter, who would you rather it be?
I don't want them to levitate any sideline reporters.
Now, what if all of a sudden they hired Mud Freak Chris Angel?
Don't know how much he knows about football, but it would be impressive to see him levitate or walk on water or whatever he does.
All right, so Giants for me, Dallas for you two. The coin also appreciates Dallas here. Monday night game, Seattle at Chicago.
I like this one.
Is it at Chicago? It's at Chicago.
It's at Chicago, yes. The projections have Chicago winning just by a little bit here. I think Seattle wins. I think people are kind of blowing the Bears a little bit too much right now. I liked how they looked. I think I might have been... It's going to come to the situation where I don't think that last Sunday night game is going to go real well for them for a few weeks. They're going to have to deal with that. And Seattle's just being underrated.
You kind of said everything I was thinking. That one's going to lose. That one's going to hold over. Give me Seattle to win on the road.
Yeah, Seattle, for me, 2017.
Fun game. Yeah, 24-17, 24-20 is sort of how I see it.
Tim?
Yeah, Seahawks, 31-24.
And the coin's going to be on.
Yeah, the coin is down. Let's see what we got from the coin here. The coin likes the home team. The coin likes Chicago.
Yeah, of course it does.
Listen, Chicago looked so good for the first 10 minutes of that game on offense and couldn't do anything. Now, Seattle's defense, not so hot. Let's be real here. And now they're down Doug Baldwin. That that doesn't help. But Earl Thomas, after having no training camp or preseason, back. That should only help a little bit. I mean, week 1 was sort of like a preseason game for him, and that does improve their defense quite substantially if he's there and if he's not there. But I don't know. Like, I think Seattle can post points here. Now, it'd be one thing, like with Green Bay, if you get in Rodgers' face and you make him make bad throws and you knock him to the ground, that changes the trajectory of their offense. Seattle, very used to that. They were able to keep that game close with Denver last week, and all Russell Wilson had was guys in his face. I think he got sacked 6 times, 7 times, something like that. That's probably going to happen again. But it seems like the Seahawks just shake it off and move on to the next play.
Yeah.
So
and I don't think the Bears have that capacity to shake things off.
We'll see. This is a bad sign for the rest of their season if Seattle just goes in and beats the Bears here. And I think
you could tell, like at least I could, when Rodgers came in the second half, you could palpably sense that the Bears tightened up, and they did not play as loose, particularly on the defensive side, as they had. I mean, what does the Sun Tzu said? Every battle is won or lost before it is fought. It was clear that the Bears had already conceded defeat before the first snap of the second half. And I think that shows a team for me that isn't ready for, I was going to say ready for prime time, but I didn't want to make that pun. It's a team not quite ready to make that next step. That they're going to be maybe a little better than I thought, but a team that still is profoundly flawed and not ready to impress. So, yeah, I think the Seahawks go in there and eat them up.
I don't know. The schedule, based on what happened last week, now feels like the schedule's not really doing them any favors.
Putting them in a focus. At least ratings are down for very sad Monday Night Football. So maybe fewer people are watching. They won't feel that pressure.
I doubt that. But, yeah, this lingering is what I feel. The Bears didn't get off the mat till about 5 minutes ago.
So, you can go consult the picks cheat sheet to go find out who we all picked. If you missed it, again, all the time codes are all there. What game, what score, Geoff, were you most confident in when you were predicting this week?
Even though we're missing some information on the game, for me it's Houston. And I don't care what the situation is or what's asked of you come Sunday. I almost prefer Mariota play for certain reasons, but if it's Gabbert, it doesn't faze me one bit.
What about you, Tim? What game do you feel like you have the most confidence in this week?
Oh, without question, and I will not be accused of being pusillanimous in any way. It's the Jets. Jets 24-10. We are going to eat.
You kind of did a good Geoff impression there.
Yeah.
Oh,
good for the Jets. Good for the Jets.
I mean,
the Jets are an excellent football team. Honestly, I'm still delirious from Monday. I'm still giddy and excited, and I can't help it. I'm so happy.
I know I might sound like a sucker saying this. There's 2 games that I feel very confident in. Actually, there's 3 games that I feel very confident in, but one of them's a bit tougher. For me, I feel like Philly's just going to wreck the Bucs. But there's something weird about that game. And the other one's the Chargers game, which I kind of, but I feel like...
the Chargers. Nothing's going bad for them. They're not playing a real NFL team.
This coming from the man who said the Bills were going to win last week.
I didn't say they were going to win. I said they could win, but I thought...
When you change your mind 8 different times, Tim, you can always just whittle it down to the thing you were least wrong about. I think I have the most confidence in the... You know what? I see the Minnesota game. We don't know about Rodgers yet, so that makes it a bit tough. I do like Minnesota in that game, though. New England, Denver... Philadelphia is the game I have the most... You can see how confident I am in a lot of these things. Philadelphia is the team I have the most confidence in this week. I'm going to take New Orleans in suicide.
I like it.
I was going to take the Rams, but I'll take the non-division game, and I think them losing last week prevents Cleveland. Maybe Cleveland's a lot better than I think they are, but
how could the Saints lose twice in a row?
Cleveland's got talent, man.
Cleveland's got talent.
That 53 roster's talented.
So do the Saints, though.
Oh, yeah.
They're not the team that lost. The team that comes out every week, especially at home, is not going to be the team that lost to the Bucs last week.
My teams that are still alive that picked Buffalo last week will be using New Orleans in Survivor.
It's New Orleans or the Rams. I think are the 2 teams.
The Chargers? Is that just there's a stank there?
I try not to take road teams in Eliminator.
Yeah.
Just
I get it.
by and large. I just don't think it probably doesn't matter. You just take whatever the best team is. But that team, like I said, that Philly game has me shook from just like, I don't think they're going to win by a ton. Like, I always like to, that's why I picked Baltimore last week. Like, I thought that Tampa-New Orleans game was going to be somewhat close, and that throws it into like coin flip territory. I didn't want that. I thought the Ravens were going to pound the Bills, so I picked the Ravens.
Yeah.
This week, I think New Orleans is going to pound Cleveland, so that's going to be the way. Tim, how many games would you feel like you are 100% correct on here?
I see 5 games where I think I just don't see those teams losing.
So who are your guaranteed winners this week in the predictions that you made?
I mean, I think of them sort of like as a bundle. The Texans, the Chargers, the 49ers, the Jets, and the Seahawks.
Ooh.
I mean, there was a couple of games we talked about here. Like, I mean, like you're just all in on the Texans regardless of who starts at quarterback, like Geoff is.
Yeah, if anything, Mariota might be my preferred starter.
That's where I am.
So it's just straight up to win. Houston, the Chargers.
Houston, Chargers, 49ers, Jets, Seahawks.
I like how the Jets are all over this for him. He's picked the Jets to win in every single way possible. It's going to be real sad when they lose to the Dolphins, Tim.
Ain't no stopping us now.
So what happens if they lose to the... Can you walk me through that scenario? What happens if they lose to the Dolphins?
I mean, it would be I can't think about it too much because we're up on Thursday night next week against the Browns. It makes that a must-win game.
Oh, they play next Thursday night?
Oh, like
Geoff,
the Dolphins pick even more. I'll tell you what happens.
Again, this is a bye. The Browns are a bye. It's that Jags game in Week 4 that I'm really concerned about.
Where is that Browns game?
I believe the Browns game is in Cleveland.
On Thursday night.
Okay.
Get their first win in 86 years.
Yeah, it is in Cleveland.
All right, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Thank you for coming along for the ride with us. Geoff Fienberg, you can follow on Twitter at GFienberg17. Thank you for being here.
Always.
We'll be back with some more football next week, obviously. We'll probably touch on some Ryder Cup at some point. It's coming up. I don't really care about the Tour Championship. I'll do a Draftkings show for that.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
There's 30 guys in the field.
It's weird.
It's more fun when there's like 156 than when there's 30. The Ryder Cup is a bit different, but just for the season-ending tournament, no big deal. Again, you can find the entire picks cheat sheet, and even if you missed who my survivor pick is or whatever it was, you can find that up on my Facebook page, facebook.com/thepme. I would also like to thank, for his enthusiasm and his affinity for eating boogers, Tim Undergust!
Tim Andergust.
That is not my name, and you've taken that whole line out of it's like I'm talking to 5-year-olds. That's what's going on here.
How would you know? You don't even listen to us.
I listen, but then I'm also thinking about what I'm going to say next. So
I thought you were just consulting your notes the entire time.
I have notes too that I look at, but then I have to make changes as things are said, and I go, well, that would be a funny thing for me to say, and I put that in there.
And of everything that's written on your sheet right now, what do you think is the funniest thing that you wrote down as a thing to say on the show? Was it I eat boogers?
I didn't say that.
But you did.
No, I didn't, and you know that I didn't. You're being obstinate. But the people, as usual, will be with me. Follow me at Tim Anderson87. I bring the funny on Twitter.
Well, what was the thing that you wrote down that was the funniest?
There actually really weren't any this time. I was just saying that, hoping you wouldn't.
All right, I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me at ThePME on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Radio Public, all the places where you can download podcasts. You can find the audio versions of the Pat Mayo Experience. Tim and I are live on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. with Gary and Thorne. I'll be back on Friday with a DraftKings ownership and injury report. So stay tuned to the audio, to the video, everything, and check out all my work up on dkplaybook.com. Thanks for bearing with this. Thank you for watching. We really do appreciate it. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!